If you are a crafter, chances are you have just a few of these little acrylic paint bottles lying around. If you're like me, you've tried to look online to find some creative solutions to store them, but oftentimes they are a little more expensive than what crafter budgets are. So today I want to show you a super easy way to create your own DIY acrylic paint holder that is so affordable. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back to the Crafty Organizer. I'm Noreen Eppley, and on this channel, I love bringing you ideas for organizing, decluttering, doing DIYs, upcycles, and anything crafty. Starting with my craft room, I moved not too long ago and have been struggling to make things fit into this new space. And one of the biggest problems I've had is organizing my acrylic paint. So I went online and started looking at ideas. I found some that I really liked, and I have made my own in the past, starting with this spinning acrylic paint holder. It was one of my most popular videos, and while I loved it, it didn't hold all my paint. I outgrew that one pretty quickly. The second thing that I made for my paint is still my favorite, and that is the wall storage made out of rain gutters. This truly was one of my favorite designs. It was so affordable, easy to use. It allowed me to use it for a multitude of craft solutions, but sadly, when I moved out of that space and into my new area, I do not have wall space for those gutters. But trust me, the minute I get a larger space and a wall area, all of those items are going back on the wall for vertical storage. Currently, my paint is just sitting in a Dollar Tree locker bin, and while it's easy for me to get into it, I like having things out and open, and it allows me to remember which paints are getting low. This is my current space. It's a mess. I'm going to be taking you with me while I reorganize and make this an efficient space, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. But this is the area I'm going to focus on to create storage for my paints. Going online is often the best way to get ideas. Even if you don't want to buy it, you can always upcycle things. In this case, there are small shelves that are used for spice racks. I love the idea of using the little curtain rods with a tiny ledge underneath, but those little curtain rods add up pretty quick. This acrylic holder was one of my favorites, but at $40, that means that the cost was about 88 cents per bottle to store. And looking at this, I knew I was going to outgrow this storage quickly, meaning I would have to buy more. And I knew I could create a way to make this ourselves for just pennies. So here's what you're going to need. Get some of that tried and true foam cord, foam board, whichever you call it. The one I'm going to make with you with one board will hold 63 bottles. I find these at Dollar Tree most often. The standard size is 20 inches by 30 inches. Some other supplies you're going to need are a hot glue gun, a sharp cutting knife, a long ruler to make sure you're cutting very square, a tape measure because if you don't have these squared up, it's not going to be as efficient, so a second measuring system will be really helpful. And then some decorative paper like contact paper or wrapping paper if you want it to fit your decor a little bit more. The first thing I did was cut 1 inch off the edge. The next thing you're going to cut is a 6-inch base. And this is because I am going 3 tiers. So basic rule of thumb is for whatever the width is, double the height. I hope that makes sense. You'll see it as we go along. Next, you're going to cut 2 strips that are 2 inches each. This is where a cutting blade that has a square tip to it, but also a ruler to make sure that the strips are even all the way through is really helpful. Now these 2 strips are going to basically create the first lower shelf. Next, we're going to cut 2 strips that are 4 inches. This will be the back shelf. Again, mine is only going to be 3 tiers, but you can always adjust it. And you can see where I'm using the tape measure to make sure that these are going to be squared shelves. The next thing we're going to do is 2 1/4 inch, but double check the width of both of your shorter pieces because sometimes I've noticed the Dollar Tree foam core isn't always a consistent thickness. So adjust for whatever thickness you have. Now that you've got all the pieces cut, it's time to assemble. We're going to start with the 6-inch base, and we're going to start with the back 4-inch strip first. By the way, I just learned this tip. Leave me a comment below if you already knew this. By adding a small dab of glue to your next new glue stick, it'll feed through seamlessly. Game changer. We're going to carefully run a bead of glue all the way down. I started just a little section because you really want to make sure the edge is flush. If you're better than I am at drawing a straight line with your glue gun, you can go ahead and do it all at once. I also used a secondary ruler to make sure it was flush and I could push against the edge. Now I'm going to add the top piece. Go ahead and run another glue strip at the top. This is the 2 1/4 inch. And the reason this one is wider is I want the support under that top ledge. So right now I'm just making sure I have it consistent. Now I'm going to add reinforcement glue along the inside seam. This is just to make sure it's super strong. This is the second 4-inch strip, and I'm going to add this underneath that 2 1/4 inch strip. This becomes our first full shelf. So put it under the lip. That way the skinny strip is sturdy, and also make sure it's flush along that line. The next thing to do is run a strip of glue along the base of that 4-inch, and you can press it in a little bit and then adjust it to make sure that it's square. Once again, add a reinforced strip of glue along the bottom. This is going to be one sturdy little holder. Now here's a quick peek at what it's going to look like. You can see the first back shelf is done. The two 2-inch strips are going to create that middle shelf. And the bottom base that was 6 inches will just be a flat area for that bottom shelf. Now, if you remember that little 1-inch strip we cut, we are going to use that for the second shelf that's in the middle to create a cleat. If you've looked inside of closets, oftentimes there's a wooden strip of wood that goes along the back of the shelf, which is called a cleat. This just adds support and stability, and that's what we're going to do for this shelf as well. The way I positioned it is I took the 2-inch strip and aligned the bottom with that 1-inch strip so they were flush. I then laid them on the back part of the 4-inch strip and just took a pen to mark my line. This will allow me to know exactly where to place that 1-inch strip, and I can just drag my glue gun across that and place it down. Now that that's attached, I can go ahead and place the top part of my next shelf along. But to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to go ahead and glue the two 2-inch strips together. While the glue is hardening, you have a few seconds to manipulate it to make sure that it's lined up, but do make sure it's pretty flush. And then go ahead and add another reinforcement glue on the inside. Once that's dry, we can go ahead and place it on top. You want the full strip showing so that the other piece is under to give it the most strength. Now we're going to add glue to the top of the cleat and place that shelf we just made of the two 2-inch pieces on top. You can see how this is shaping up. It basically looks like a little stair step. And by the way, this is so useful for many, many things. We'll add another strip of glue to reinforce that top shelf, and then we can go ahead and glue that bottom shelf to the base. This took about 10 minutes to make. I can now place it inside of my bookcase, which is where I wanted it. I can bring out my little bucket of paints and start sorting through them and place them on the shelves. I have lots of room to grow on here, and if I needed more, I could just take out that little temporary shelf that I currently have resting in the back of my bookcase, and I could go up another 8 inches, adding another entire 21 bottles of paint. What's great about this is you can make this for makeup, for spices, for your little glitter bottles. Whatever item you have a quantity of, you can make these little step organizers and add storage. And at $1.25 plus a stick of glue, you cannot beat that kind of storage. As I use this, if I feel like the bottom bottles are falling off because it is at the edge of my bookcase, I will just take a little 1/2 inch strip of foam core and add it to the very front to prevent those from falling off. I hope you liked this video. I thought this was such an inexpensive way to create a lot of storage. And what I love about it is it has so much versatility for other crafting items and other parts of the home. So let me know how you're going to make yours. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do have lots of videos lined up for this month. The next one is a bookcase I made out of, you won't believe, the trash to treasure items. So make sure you click subscribe. I'm also going to be doing how to store some florals this month, some other fun DIYs, and some organizing videos. So click that subscribe button. And if you would like to support my channel, besides clicking like and leaving a comment or hitting subscribe, you can become a Patreon supporter. All of that information is in the description below. For those of you who have been supporting me, I have lots of catch-up items for you. So please be checking your email or mail, whichever way you have signed up. I'm going to be making up the last year of missed items to you. But for those of you who are coming in, there's lots of fun levels to support the channel with. So thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thanks to anyone who signs up. And thank you for watching today. I will see you very soon for the next video. Bye.